The record will show that all members are present.
Standing for the invocation, which will be led by Reverend
You do, Don. Let us be in the attitude of prayer. Eternal God, who governs every creature and all creation with justice, mercy, and compassion, we ask your blessing on the work done by these civic leaders. Give to them a measure of your justice, that they may take actions which benefit every citizen in our city. Extend your mercy through them, so that everyone is served. Enable them to be compassionate with each person who brings a concern before them. You have enhanced this community of Newport Beach with so many gifts, that we might live, work, and play among its beautiful features. From the coastline to the cliffs, from each island and bay, from every park to the peninsula, help us respect what you have given. May we strive to enrich and preserve this environment so that all residents and visitors can enjoy this area, not only in the present, but for generations to come. You are with us, O God, in life's triumphs and tragedies, through the mundane and the glorious, in our business and in our leisure. Through those who speak here tonight, the people bring to this chamber our needs, our hopes, and our desires. May these officials hear us with clear thinking and reasoned temperament, and respond according to your grace. Amen.
We don't have any presentations tonight unless the staff has snuck one in on me that I'm not aware of. All right.
I have it.
City Clerk.
Notice to the public, the city provides a yellow sign-in card to assist in the preparation of the minutes. The completion of the card is not required in order to address the council. As a courtesy, please turn cell phones and pagers off or set them in the silent mode. This is the time for city council announcements or matters which council members would like placed on a future agenda for discussion, action, or report.
Thank you very much. City council announcements on matters which council members wish to have placed on future agenda for discussion, action, or report. Mr. Curry.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like us to, on our March 14th meeting, to schedule a discussion of the Measure M reauthorization and potential city's position relative to the reauthorization for communications to the OCTA.
Good. Thank you. Mr. Selich.
I have nothing.
Mr. Rosansky.
I have several. First of all, I'd like to announce that the Relay for Life will be held here in Newport Beach on Saturday, May 20th, Sunday, May 21st. We'd love for everybody in the community to get involved with this. It's a worthwhile event. The city has sponsors a couple of teams. Their goal this year, I think, is to raise about $160,000. And if you need to get any more information on that, I'm sure if you contact the city, they'll be more than happy to steer you in the right direction. Another big event coming up is the Newport Beach Film Festival. The dates for that are set for April 20th to April 30th. Last year, for those who were there for the premiere, they premiered Crash, which is one of the Academy Award-nominated movies, so they're strutting around over there thinking that they did a good job last year. Hopefully they'll have an equally impressive premiere opening night, and I think they've scheduled, or they've managed to entice a couple of stars to come down for some of the other events that they have. I heard one name, I hope I'm not overstepping, but I heard Will Ferrell might come, so that might be exciting for those folks who like Saturday Night Live. Lastly, There's been a series of articles in the newspaper and the Orange County Register with regard to beach encroachments. I've spoken with staff, with our city manager and our public works director, and they've agreed that we're going to be conducting a survey of the oceanfront properties to see which, if any, are encroaching and which, if any, of those properties that currently are not paying an encroachment fee for the legal encroachments that they're entitled to or able to acquire if they apply for them, if they're encroaching without paying a fee. So we will certainly be looking into that and maybe receiving a report at some time in the future. Thank you.
Councilmember Ridgway? Councilmember Daigle?
No, thanks.
Councilmember Nichols? Okay, I have several items myself. Newport Beach has made it to Iraq. We have adopted the 1-1, the 1st Battalion of the 1st Marine Division from Camp Pendleton, and we got a picture back over the email, and this is the Newport Beach flag flying below the American flag in front of Camp Fallujah headquarters for the 1-1. And it's something that the citizens can be really proud of, is that the Marines think enough of us and the things that we've done for them to fly our flag in front of their headquarters. So just wanted to let everybody know that this is there, and Newport Beach is being thought of very favorably by these Marines across, I guess, almost several continents in Iraq. So that's item 1. Steve Rosansky and I each had an opportunity to attend a police retirement dinner for 6 police officers that retired, and it was well attended by everybody on the police force, and we really had it was an interesting event to hear the tales. And one of the things that really impressed me was the friendship between all of the officers, the camaraderie, and the really sense of service that these officers are presenting in representing the city and protecting our city. I think that we have a very great police force, and I really made me feel good to be amongst them and listen to some of the tales that some of their more experienced officers had to tell on the retirement platform. It was, I can't relate all of them, but at any rate, it was a fun event. And Congressman Campbell was also there and made a few remarks, and so we thank him for being there too. And lastly, I would like to thank Speak Up Newport and all of the people who attended the mayor's dinner. It's a 25th annual dinner that was held on the 15th, and they gave me an opportunity to tell a little bit about the history of Newport. But it was a very fun event, and I really like to thank Speak Up Newport, Debbie Allen as their president, and the various other people that put that on. It was I enjoyed doing it, and thank them for giving the mayor an opportunity to make this kind of presentation. That's it. City Clerk.
Consent calendar. All matters listed under consent calendar, items 1 through 12, are considered by the council to be routine and will all be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. The city council members have received detailed staff reports on each of the items recommending an action. There will be no separate discussion of these items prior to the time the council votes on the motion, unless members of the council, staff, or the public request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Members of the public who wish to discuss a consent calendar item should come forward to the lectern upon invitation by the mayor, state their name and item number. If the optional sign-in card has been completed, it should be placed in the box provided at the podium.
Thank you. Councilmember Nichols, do you have any you wish to remove?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Daigle?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Ridgway?
No, thank you.
Councilmember Curry?
No items.
Councilmember Selledge?
I have nothing.
Mayor Pro Tem Rosansky?
None, thank you.
And I have none. Does the staff have any that they wish to?
Mr. Mayor, on item number 3, the Bayside Residential Plan Community, there are some changes to that ordinance, so staff suggests that you pull that from consent, but take it right after you approve the consent calendar, because there are some people in the audience waiting for that.
Okay. That sounds like a good idea. Does anybody in the audience wish to remove anything from the consent calendar? Seeing no one, is there a motion?
I'm sorry, which item was that you were pulling?
Three.
Item three.
Okay. I move adoption of the consent calendar, items 1 through 12, plus item 17, and putting off item number...
Not 17.
Oh, not 17? I thought that was a supplemental.
No, that's
Sorry.
a supplemental item, but not consent.
Sorry?
calendar.
Okay, items 1 through 12, except for number 3, which we'll hear right after consent calendar.
I'll even second doing number 17.
But we didn't indicate that it was on this consent calendar when we...
I think he's
set
just
it up.
kidding, Don.
Okay. Is there any discussion? Please vote. Okay,
Motion carries.
Let's take item 3. Does the staff have a report on that?
Patty Temple will run over the changes and the reason why we pulled this item.
Yes, Mayor, members of the City Council. As you know, there were a lot of changes to this project happening in the last week leading up to your prior consideration at your last meeting, including settling the location of the public access easement. Because the easement ended up in a partially on-land access easement on a separate lot, there were many notations within the planned community text that were based on the prior arrangement, including lot sizes and setback arrangements. And so those changes have now been incorporated into the text. Additionally, there was an exhibit in that planned community text that depicted the original access arrangement and not the new one. So for these reasons, the city attorney's office thought that the ordinance should be reintroduced and passed a second reading at your next meeting. And just so you know, we have checked with the applicant, and this does not affect their scheduling of proceeding forward to the Commission, California Coastal Commission.
Since we're reintroducing this, if we had a minor wording change on one of the conditions, could that be inserted at this time?
Sure, I think so.
Okay, I've been requested by the
Well,
applicant to...
Wait a minute, is it the applicant? Well,
Well-
I mean, wait till I hear what it is.
Okay, well, no, it's item, condition number 73. The condition reads, "The applicant shall provide results from an inspection by qualified engineer indicating the condition of the seawalls and tiebacks." They would like that clarified to be either just plain bulkheads or bulkhead/seawall, because there's some concern that seawalls and bulkheads have different definitions amongst different agencies.
I have no problem with that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think that also applies to condition number 4, the word seawall. I think any place in here it says seawall, it should say bulkhead,
Okay.
in case we missed it somewhere.
Seawall and/or bulkhead, or?
No, just bulkhead.
Just
Change seawall to bulkhead.
Mr. Selich, was that a motion?
Yeah, I move to approve it with those changes.
Second.
Does council have any discussion? Anybody from the public wish to discuss this item? Close the public hearing. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion carries.
Okay, that takes us to item 13, which is the vacation and abandonment of a portion of La Jolla Drive located in the Newport Heights area. Which staff member is going to report on this?
I think Fong C. is going to provide the staff report. Is that right, Rich?
No, Fong is not here. Basically, this was a request from a property owner who initiated this and then indicated to the Public Works Department they had contacted the other property owners along the street and that there was overall substantial support for this vacation. And staff has prepared this report. The department, because of the topography, it's unlikely that we would ever widen the street or be able to do anything with the area that we're talking about vacating, and so the department supports the request.
Does the council have any questions on this?
I'll just make a quick comment. This did come at the request of the homeowners, and I think it'll create a much improved situation for that street. The street homes, the street actually goes out into the air, I believe, in some portions there, and it's really unusable, but it will help the homeowners in the event that they want to redevelop their property, so I support this action.
Is that a motion?
I'll move the action.
Second.
Okay, does anybody in the public wish to comment on this?
name's Jim Young, and I have lived on La Jolla Drive at 318 since 1978. I don't know why this has to be a vacation of the whole side of the street and the right-of-way, because the camel's nose is in the tent. Once that's done, then those people who have lots on, who have already tried, have lots on the next street over, believe now that they have lots on La Jolla Drive, and that will enable them to be able to split the lots and build 5 more houses on the west side of La Jolla Drive. And my concern is not to keep my neighbors from remodeling their house. That's not my concern. My concern is that the people the next street over will believe that they bought 2 lots instead of 1 lot, and will then try to develop that side. We only have half a street on La Jolla Drive, and there's really no way of making a wider street. So my concern is, can't we take care of this by some other means rather than a wholesale vacation of the right-of-way? I think it's going to cause a lot of problems, and if that happens, then how is that street going to handle all the traffic and the noise? And I'm just looking ahead to see what this might do.
Are you referring to those that have properties on Catalina?
Yes, I am.
Okay, it looks like there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots that...
There are 5 lots that would be affected by it.
Well, okay, but those are single lots, and so they'd have to go through a re-subdivision process, and I believe that, I'm not sure if they are over 10,000 square feet, then they might be able to make that request.
Well, several years ago, right across the street from me, the council approved making a condominium out of a single family lot on that street. And now I have a house across the street from me, which I'm not really objecting to that, except that I don't want to see 5 more houses go in with no more street.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Anybody else wish to comment on this? I close the public hearing. Does council have any comments?
Is there presently parking? La Jolla wouldn't be able to have parking on it at all, would it?
No,
Or
it's-
it is two-way, isn't it?
Parking is prohibited, I believe, on La Jolla.
No, there's
It's
parking
not?
on La Jolla, on one side of the street.
Okay, well,
Well, it's only a 20-foot right-of-way, so, I mean, it's, you can't really pass at that point. You have to kind of wait and go around it, right?
The street right now is existing. They're not cutting into the street. The street's already there and it's built, and I think the traffic engineering folks have agreed that it will never be expanded because of the topography there. That street falls off. So even that shaded in area where you're looking,
Right.
it drops off. And as you get up to these lots that this gentleman was just referring to, it drops off quickly, steeply.
Quite steeply
Yeah,
over the
so
hill.
the city's never going to be going in and making the street any wider. The street probably should be a one-way street in order to accommodate the parking and the traffic lane. It isn't now, and they seem to make it work the way it is, but there is parking on one side of the street.
I just was trying to figure out what the situation was.
any other comments from the city council?
Yes, does the traffic engineer have a response to the concerns that were raised by the speaker?
Not from a traffic perspective. I think it's more maybe a question to the planning department as to whether those lots could be split or not. And again, without knowing the size of them, that might be difficult to answer.
Do we know if that's R2 zoning? It must be if the condominium was created. Do you have any idea?
320.
Patty, could you come down, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was going
Put
to
your
be
hand
involved in
drawing
this
to
one.
Patty. Yes. Okay. The question is, are the lots that have double frontage, one on Catalina and one on La Jolla, is that in an R2 zone to where condominiums could be created? Apparently, the gentleman indicated that 325 and 328 were...
My understanding, because I know I was approached by one of those other property owners, is that these, like, even the applicant, or the woman who brought this to us, Mrs. Ogborn, she's got a duplex on that street. And my understanding, wasn't a non-conforming duplex. Isn't this an R2 area? And I know down below on Catalina, there are 2 on a lot there, and some of them have submitted for...
Is it in the staff report?
I'm sorry?
I don't know. I don't have my zoning maps with me.
Okay,
I know
okay.
that most of the lots on, that are westerly of, I believe it's Westminster, are R2.
Well, isn't it the city's policy that even on a condominiumized lot where there'd be 2 on a lot, that they only take access off of one street, not off of both?
No, not necessarily. Our policy is that if you have an alley, that you must take your garage access from the alley, and we wouldn't give you street access as well.
Okay, well, there's obviously no alley here on these lots in question. Well, let's back up. In order for them to subdivide the lots or build 2 homes, they would have to come to the city to do that,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And if someone came with a request to build a home facing Catalina Drive and a home facing La Jolla Drive, is the vacating of the 8 feet going to change the city's decision one way or another? I mean, will it bear on that decision?
The only way it would bear on it, and I don't know exactly how large these lots are, but they don't look all that big, would be if the extra right-of-way would cause them to be large enough to actually be split into 2 separate lots, which must be 5,000 square foot minimum. I do not believe that these lots, even after their vacation, any one of them would total 10,000 square feet. So the only way to have 2 separate ownerships on the R2 lot is to do a condominium.
Okay, thank you.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Well, I've moved the action, I think there's a second, so it looks like we're voting.
Please vote.
Motion carries.
Public comments? City Clerk, do you want to go through that?
Public comments are invited on non-agenda items generally considered to be within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. Speakers must limit comments to 3 minutes. Before speaking, please state your name for the record.
Okay, come ahead.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rex Ricks. I'm a former Huntington Beach resident, but I'm down here for a little bit. I'm living in Paradise, California, which is about 100 miles north of Sacramento. And I'd like to talk about a couple items that might be of interest to the city, but I don't know if on non-agenda I could solicit feedback from the council or have a little back and forth discussion.
Under public comments, we receive comments and discussion from the public, but normally we don't get into a dialogue or answer questions.
Okay, well, I'll throw something out there, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm from Huntington Beach, and a big issue is the desalination plant. So what I plan to do is go every single coastal city in Orange County from Seal Beach to San Clemente. And the question I had asked of the council or the public is, if a desal plant was proposed within your own city, let's not talk Huntington Beach, but strictly your city, would you accept it? Like including all the benefits, like $1.9 million a year in tax revenue? Because I'd like to take a survey of cities all along the coast and see if this is something, a good thing, that cities should be competing for the right of this, kind of like a baseball stadium, like taking an NFL team into town, or if this is something nobody really wants. I don't know, you guys have an opinion on it or not at this point?
Mr. Mayor, I'll just offer that the AES plant is the only reason it's locating in Huntington Beach, because they have an outfall and an intake, and no city has that infrastructure, and no city would be able to get that type of infrastructure on today's date. So that's why it's being processed in the city of Huntington Beach, to take advantage of the outfall, the intake and the outfall.
Okay, let's hypothetically set, this isn't going to happen in Orange County, but hypothetically, let's say each city had a big parcel of vacant land to work with, put in a new AES plant, just a raw piece of land that you could put in similar infrastructure. Is this something your city would want or not want, or no opinion, if you were in a similar situation?
We really don't want to get into a discussion.
Okay.
I might make one comment, is that every city in the state of California needs to be very careful about how they manage their water, because we're going to run out of water sometime in the future, and we're going to have to look at every possible way we can to get that water supply secured for us. and desalinization plants are one method of doing that. So that's just one comment that I will make, but I don't really want to get into a dialogue.
Okay, now entirely different subject, and this is about, okay, El Toro. I'd say about half of you endorsed Jim Silva, but I'd like you to rethink it. I was pro El Toro, and I probably wrote more letters in favor outside of anyone from Newport Mesa, so I think I'd bring some decent credentials to the table. But why I don't feel comfortable with Jim Silva, I felt he let us down, is on the EIR vote in September 2001, he delayed the EIR by a month because he wasn't sure what he wanted to do. Then the Navy issued a record decision after the March 2002 vote, which dictated the land would be sold. And I suspect he did that because South County leaders told him they wouldn't run an opponent against him like Cynthia Code had. At least Cynthia Code took one for the team. I felt he did not. But then he had a chance to redeem himself in July 2002 by putting it back on the ballot. He would not. So I don't feel he was like a real team player. And here's the real strange thing about it all. He's endorsed by a who's who of anti-El Toro leaders like Todd Spitzer, Tom Wilson, Mimi Walters was the interpret chair, Alan Songstad's the interpret chair. So I suspect he cut a deal with South County so he would not face competition in the supervisor race and now for assembly. And the thing is, without El Toro, anyone in other areas like LAX, Long Beach, of course, John Wayne, you're a lot more vulnerable because of it. So I'm hoping maybe you'll rethink your endorsement of Jim Silva. There's Diane Harmon, or there's Mike McGill. Mike McGill had decent credentials. He served on Okra for the city of Cypress. So that's my 2 cents for the night.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Does anybody else have a public comment they'd like to make? All right, close public comments. Oral reports from city council members on committee activities. The GPUC.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had a meeting yesterday afternoon of GPUC, and the primary discussion item on our agenda was the translation of the existing general plan map of the city to a new general plan map under the proposed general plan update, and the conversion of the statistical information in the various tables that go into the general plan. And we appointed a unofficial subcommittee to work with staff in double-checking all of the information, and we have 2 of our most detailed members, Alan Beek and Barry Eaton, doing all the checking, and so I'm sure all the numbers are going to be correct. Yeah, they're the committee of the nitpickers and the paranoid, so hopefully all the numbers will be right.
Let's keep this.
They said they were the nitpickers, not us.
Okay.
Anyway, the other thing is we took a look at the public information program, and our first mailer went out here, about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So we got that going. And just as a reminder, I'd just like to remind everyone what our upcoming schedule of events is on the schedule. First of all, we're going to be reviewing the implementation plan. I think sometime in March at a study session. Is that correct, Sharon?
Actually, I was talking to the consultant about that this afternoon, and we thought that we might just make that part of the public hearings on the entire general plan because it's implementing the policies that you've already reviewed, unless the council wants another study session.
I don't think there's an overwhelming demand for that. Other than that, the schedules for the public hearings, we're going to have 4 hearings before the Planning Commission and the City Council, 2 in April and 2 in May. And that's the time for everyone to come down and give their opinions on the land use changes, because I think that's when we're going to be making our hard decisions. And we're looking to certify the EIR and the general plan by the Planning Commission in June, and with final council action late in June, if we keep on schedule here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, perhaps we should mention the next public workshop.
Your date is, are you really serious about this date?
Of course we're serious. We're always serious about the general plan. It's Saturday, April 1st.
April Fool's Day, huh?
And we will, as we've done in the past, have 2 sessions identical, one starting at 9 o'clock in the morning and the other beginning at 1:30 in the afternoon, and that'll be at the Oasis Senior Center.
Thank you. The next item would be local coastal plan program.
Thank you. We're going to have a hearing on March 7th, I believe at 3 o'clock here in the Fire Department Conference Room. We will be reviewing the implementation plan for the LCP. That document is available, I think, on the web. It's 500 pages, so we will be spending, I suspect, weeks going over that document, but it's very technical, very dry, but very important.
The Mariners Joint Use Library Ad Hoc Steering Committee, we have not met. However, I did have the opportunity to tour the library with the librarian and Marion Bergeson last week, and it's really coming right along. The shelves are almost in place, and it's looking more and more like a library every day that we will be really happy to have in our group of libraries. We're going to have an opening ceremony with the kids at the school, as well as the public will be invited on April 20th at 11 a.m. on the athletic field behind the library. The Centennial Subcommittee will be meeting this Thursday at 3:30 at the Pride of Newport, the riverboat over on the other side of the bay. It used to be called the Reuben E. Lee. I also attended another play that was given at Lincoln School that the Newport Harbor High School troupe, I guess you would call them, put on. It was well received by the students, and they seemed to have a good time. The ad hoc committee for Marina Park Planning, that is...
I would say on both of those items, and I know you're the chairman of one of them, we're having actually a hearing on the 14th, are we not? The next meeting on the report?
I'm not sure.
The relocation.
Yes, that's scheduled for March 14th.
Okay.
Yeah, March 14th. So I think everything will come out at that point in time.
Right, there'll be a full staff report and actions for the council.
Okay, thank you.
I skipped over the Newport Coast Advisory Committee. Councilmember Curry, did you have a report?
Just to say that the next meeting of the advisory committee is going to be 5:30 on the 13th of March coming up.
Mr. Nichols, did you have anything to say about that?
No.
Thank you. Are there any other committees that anybody would like to report on?
EQAC met last night, and the main discussion was the consideration of our general plan, and they're preparing comments for that.
Okay. Councilmember Daigle, did you have one?
Yes, with regards to the newly formed Media Communications Committee that I sit on with Mayor Pro Tem Rosansky, we've been exchanging some ideas about a media policy and anticipate that committee will be meeting soon. As far as the Irvine-Newport Borders Committee, which consists of the City of Irvine and the City of Newport Beach, the Newport Beach side of the fence, we did have a meeting with our legal counsel, our outside legal counsel, and our letter articulating our concerns with the development that's occurring in Irvine, particularly the piecemeal nature of that development. Their correspondence has been sent. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rosansky, did you have something else?
Just a quick announcement that the next meeting of the City Hall Site Selection Committee will be on March 6th. I believe it'll be in this room here in Council Chambers. We are still soliciting potential sites for City Hall. So if you have any in mind that you're holding in your back pocket, now's the time to pull them out, because we hope to, we will be wrapping up our deliberations and have a report to City Council by May 1st. So if you have any suggestions at all, please bring them forward, because we want to exhaust all possibilities. Thank you.
The Facilities Committee met on Monday, yesterday, and will meet again on the 13th. And we received a report from the Public Works Department and Finance Directors on both needs for the future as well as the financial status of the city, so that we would appreciate anybody wishing to attend that meeting. We will be meeting at 4 o'clock on the 13th here in the council chambers. Anybody else?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Ridgway, excuse me.
Thank you. The SCAG Aviation Committee met for the first time in probably a year and a half last week, and we were discussing the airport system as it relates to the regional transportation plan. And as everybody knows, with El Toro gone, we're now looking at ground transportation and a decentralized system of airports to accommodate the growing demand in Southern California. And that meeting was just a kickoff meeting. We will now get into staff reports, but we did give a historical perspective where the airport planning has started in 1998 as it related to the regional transportation plan and where it is today. It will rely heavily on ground transportation, light rail, and maglev, that type of thing. And it will be a decentralized system with, by definition, LAX will be constrained to a 78 map, period. That is, end of story on that. The total map for the entire Southern California region is, looks to be about 170 map. So the other airports will have to absorb that. That is including Lindbergh in San Diego.
A map is 1 million annual passengers.
So we're looking at a Southern California demand for 170 million annual passengers that will have to be shared between...
That's in the year 2030?
Yeah, and that'll be between all the airports, Long Beach, Bob Hope, John Wayne, Ontario, which will take the lion's share for sure. So anyhow, and then LAX, which obviously is at a 78 map, and we're all in agreement that that won't change. So that's where that's the latest on that.
Okay, thank you. The next item is the Planning Commission agenda and oral status report. Ms. Temple.
Planning Commission, as you know, met last Thursday. There were 3 items on their agenda. One was continued without discussion. That was the Brookfield Homes proposal within the commercial area northerly of State Route 73, and that will come back to the Commission at their next meeting on March 9th. The next item on the agenda was a condominium conversion for a 6-unit building, 6 residential unit building on Domingo Drive in the East Bluff area. The principal discussion really surrounded the location and design of a proposed parking structure. Any of those of you who may be familiar with that part of Domingo Drive and its related alley knows that today there's a fair amount of what we would call trash can pollution back there. People kind of leave cans helter-skelter, and so in working with the applicant, the planning department thought that it would be a good solution to get a more organized approach to handling the trash, and also coincidentally it will put it into a commercial bin service as opposed to individual trash cans. That did require approval of a modification for encroachment into a setback, but the Commission did approve both the modification and the condominium conversion. The last item on the agenda was the Planning Commission's consideration of the fire facility overlay zone in support of the fire station in the Santa Ana Heights specific plan. It was very nice that Fire Chief Riley came to the meeting to really explain the process to develop that district and also the resultant facility operations plan. And the Commission unanimously recommended approval of that to the Council, and it will come before the City Council at your next meeting. That concludes my report.
Item number 15, which is 401 38th Street, appeal of the staff's decision not to allow a new curb cut on Newport Island. Is the staff report on that? Mr. Bludow?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The applicant for this property proposes to build a new two-unit project. Currently, the site has access from an alley. The request was to add a driveway on Marcus to access a second garage. The council policy that applies to this states that a curb cut would be allowed only if the applicant were providing additional parking beyond what is required. Staff has written this report giving you the choice which way you'd like to go, because our understanding is one of the basis for the policy is to maintain on-street parking, and in this case, that whole side of Marcus is red curb, so a driveway here will not result in the loss of any on-street parking, but it still didn't conform with the policy, and so we're submitting it to you to make the decision.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Ridgway.
I visited the site today. Quite candidly, this is one where our policy is not serving the citizens well. The main drive going out over the bridge is 38th Street. This gentleman does have a curb cut on 38th Street. He proposes to lose that and substitute it on Marcus, and quite candidly, it's the only curb cut on 38th Street on that side of the street, the only one. So it makes good planning sense to approve the encroachment permit. So I will be making that motion.
I'll second the motion. And having served on the Planning Commission with Councilmember Selich, we visited the site together, and it was pretty obvious that we're trading red curb for red curb, and there's no net reduction in planning space and traffic stalls.
Actually, the traffic actually flows better because it's the first house as you go over the bridge to Newport Island, and it's got a driveway there. It actually serves a better purpose by changing the driveway around the corner on Marcus.
I'm just wondering if an engineer drew this with the north arrow going down. No wonder I couldn't figure it out. Okay, now I understand it. Okay. Does council have any other comments on this? Is there anybody in the public that would like to comment on this item? Why don't you come on up to the front?
Don't be compelled. Remember, there is a motion on the floor.
There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of opposition at the present time.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to show you.
Okay.
My name is Ryan Vitt, and I'm the property owner. And it's basically, just proposing the curb cut and basically everything you said, so pretty obvious.
Anybody from the council have any questions? Hearing none. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this item? Close the public hearing. And what is any other discussion from the council? Please vote. Now, it's my understanding, in this particular instance, this motion was item number 1 to approve, and item 2 to direct the staff to condition the owner to close the existing curb cut on 38th Street. So that,
yes.
So everybody's clear on that.
Yes. I guess that came directly to us and not planning. It didn't go to planning.
It's an encroachment permit.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is Back Bay Science Center, award of the contract. City Manager, who's going to give that report?
Mr. Kiff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Before you tonight is the actual bid award, along with budget amendment and other actions for the Back Bay Science Center. And as many of you know, this has been a project in the works probably for 4 to 5 years. So tonight's an important night, regardless of how you might decide on this project, because it really is the culmination of an awful lot of work. You've seen some of this information I'm going to show you, but it's mostly pictures, so it will be brief. But I would like to do a quick PowerPoint for the folks at home so they see what we're working on. These are the partners in the project, from the County of Orange to our city to the Newport Bay Naturalists and Friends, Fish and Game, Coastal Commission, Coastal Conservancy, UCI, the California Wildlife Foundation, and My Ocean, which is a nonprofit group. This is Shellmaker Island today. For the folks at home, this is roughly at the corner of Back Bay Drive and Shellmaker Road, just past Newport Dunes. The project that's envisioned for Shellmaker is the Back Bay Science Center, and that's a 4-wing building, all one story, in addition to the UCI crew facility, plus improved wetlands, restored wetlands, and improved a parking area that actually would be able to hold the kinds of students and buses and visitors that the Back Bay Science Center takes today. This is just another view of the plan. Again, you can see the 4-wing building there in the middle and the UCI crew facility plus the restored areas. And yet another view for folks at home. You can see this on the web. This is the actual interior of the building. I wanted to make sure the council was aware of what the project is at this phase. It would involve all site improvements, including grading and the wetlands and the marsh, parking area, all the utilities, the relocation of the existing trailers that are there, and some demolition. And it would actually involve just 3 wings of the building, the teaching lab, the water quality research and testing lab, the restrooms and the Department of Fish and Game storage wing, and then just the mat foundation for the administrative wing. And the reason for the mat foundation and not the completion of the wing is budgetary, and we'll talk about that in a moment. The later phase, but not included in the budget, is the UCI crew building reconstruction. They're raising money independently for that, and we'll process that independently. And finishing and equipping the administrative wing. This is an updated budget for your council, and I tried to provide it in a little bit more user-friendly manner that's in your staff report.
That looks like the deed to Broadway, or Boardwalk.
It does, actually. Those are boardwalk colors. Basically, you can see this is roughly a $6.6 million project. The city's share, if you were to approve this tonight, is about 46% of that at $3.07 million. The other partners are bringing, Fish and Game is bringing about $1.1 million to the table. County of Orange is bringing $1.2 million. And then My Ocean is bringing $500,000, the Coastal Conservancy $400,000, UCI $308,000, Wildlife Conservation Board $69,000. That's going to the marsh restoration. And the project costs, including the planning and design and permitting that's already occurred, is that $6.67 million as well. The lion's share of that going to $4.7 million in construction costs. And as a part of your recommended action tonight, you have all those bids summarized. And just as a reminder, we went through a little bit different bid process where we had, I think, 19 different subcontracts, and those were bid independently. And we're working with Barnhart, who is here today, to select, in effect, the lowest bid on each of those, the lowest responsive bid. So this is a little bit of a different bid process than you may be used to, but we did explain it to you, I think, last month. But if you have questions about that, please don't hesitate to ask. The issues that I think are important for you to consider tonight, this project, like many of our projects, has grown in cost because in 2002 it was thought to be about $4.5 million, and it's now $6.6. That does include all the design, the contingency, and construction management. And we've seen these kinds of increases in our projects since that time because for many different reasons, including fuel and materials, et cetera. And the city's share, though, has grown also to 46%. And this has been because the other partners have committed their funds and in effect said that's what they have to bring to the project. So if the project is to be complete, the city would be expected to offer the remainder of that. And I guess the question is that too much given the city's limited role at the Back Bay Science Center? And I would argue tonight that it's not too much, that this is a good project in itself. And finally, thirdly, are there long-term benefits to the city's involvement that warrant this kind of funding? And I think importantly, the role that this
facility would provide in water quality research and Newport Bay educational efforts are those long-term benefits? And then are the terms for the construction management agreement appropriate? And are there other potential funding partners out there, and could some be added later on? And we certainly see that for the administrative wing. So I think the answer to the last is yes. But we've been pretty good, pretty aggressive about going out and asking for this additional funding and the other partners, which is why the Coastal Conservancy there, it's why My Ocean is there. A brief project timeline. Bid opening was January 26. If you approve the trade contracts tonight and the construction manager at risk contract, then we would start construction next month. And I realize next month is tomorrow. It would probably be the later part of March, the latter part of March. And then construction is expected to take about 11 months. So with that, for folks at home, here's how to find out more. This information is up on our website. And then one of our major partners, the Naturalists and Friends, has information there as well. I would make a comment to you about some folks in the audience. Larry Eng is here with the Department of Fish and Game. Larry's the regional director based in San Diego. David Sulelis is here from the Orange County Healthcare Agency. Regina Fodor and Jack Keating and a number of other naturalists are here from the Newport Bay Naturalists and Friends. I see the Skinners, who worked with me on the water quality side of this here. The contractor, Barnhart, is here, as well as Aaron Harp, the Assistant City Attorney, and Robin to help answer questions if those come up.
That's Dr. and Mrs. Skinner.
That's correct.
Dave, can I ask you
I don't know. I consider
Give a
Nancy
little more.
Skinner the rider on the Rose float.
Can I ask you to give a little more amplification on where the money is coming from, that the city's contribution that makes up 46% comes from? Because some of that is general fund and some of that is other funds.
Yes, Homer. As you point out, we back in 2000, your council, a previous council, back in 2000, allocated $500,000 of the American Trader oil spill funds to this project. That was the seed money. Then we also have what's called a Newport Bay Restoration Fund, and that can be used on projects like this. It can be used also on wetlands restoration, but it can be used on water quality education and a facility like this. So we propose moving that to this project. There's a general fund component of this, which in effect makes up the difference. That's a $1.6 million component. And then there's a section related to the trailhead that, remember, Shellmaker Island can and does serve as a trailhead for the upper Newport Bay, both the Ecological Reserve and the Nature Preserve. And we've worked with special counsel on that, and we believe that's a RDA, a redevelopment agency reimbursable expense because of its proximity to the project area and its ability to enhance recreational use there. So that's the proposal for the city side of the funding.
Thank you. Does the council have any questions of Mr. Kiff?
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Selich?
Can you explain exactly on what we're doing in Phase 1? You say that we're doing everything except the administration building and the UCI facility. And I notice on the master plan there's things like additional trails, and it looks like there's improvements in between the buildings. Look like there might be outdoor pools or something. Am I reading that right or not? Are those included in what we're doing?
Councilman Selich, the basics of that are included, such as the grading, the landscaping, the irrigation. The higher-end improvements, such as a tide pool feature, those are not, that is not included, and we intend to go out and seek a sponsor for that kind of component. The trails will be included as well in with the grading. We actually have a team of folks associated with Fish and Game and the Coastal Commission growing plants right now to perform the restoration work, so that's actually underway.
And it looks like there's some kind of cover over the amphitheater. That's going to be a separate deal?
Yeah, as I understand it, that's not included in that, but that's basically a canvas cover that I think is a relatively small budget item.
Okay. And then how did we arrive at $600,000 being the reimbursable from the Trailhead Nature Preserve?
That's the amount that we believe covers the remainder of the site improvement costs that UCI would not be covering. And I'll back up a tiny bit, saying that it's roughly $900,000 for site improvements. UCI agreed to pay a third of that because their facility obviously would use the parking lot and use the utilities.
Okay.
So the other two-thirds is site-related.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else wish to comment? Mr. Nichols?
Dave, I'd like to just try and tie this together with the restoration in the Back Bay a little bit. Now, that, we're short $30 million in that, right? Is that roughly, no?
No, Council Member, we're only short about $18.5 million of that.
So for, so it'll be 42 instead of 60 on the, the digging out of the Back Bay and so.
The Back Bay project is a $38 million project, and we have roughly 19 of that in hand.
So we're short about 19.
Short about 19. It's actually 18.5.
And that we were expecting the federal government to come through with.
We still expect the federal government to come through with part of that. As you'll recall from study session a few weeks ago, we're working aggressively with our legislators to add that in the congressional appropriations process.
But if they don't come through, or if they come up with a mill or a 2 mill like they did the last couple of years, then who would be responsible for the remainder of that portion of it?
The sediment TMDL, the sediment total maximum daily load, is a regulation placed on the city of Newport Beach and several other cities up the watershed, including Lake Forest and Irvine and Tustin and Laguna Woods. In addition, the Irvine Company and the County of Orange, along with its flood control district, are all partners in that sediment TMDL. The sediment TMDL directs us to perform the Upper Bay project. So if the project is not funded by the federal government, all of those partners would have to come up with the money. We're on the hook for about 16% of that because that's our share of the watershed inputs. It's based on land mass.
Now, I understand we're already in violation of the TMDL, and there's been no fining or so forth. So is this a...
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to just...
Mr. Ridgway?
I just a call to order. We're on a Back Bay Science Center, a board of contract.
I'm just trying to get what total payment is going to be from us for the Back Bay, and it could be very, very high.
But the Back Bay is not what we're talking about.
Well, the whole thing is this is part of the Back Bay.
Gentlemen, I think that we have a construction contract that we're talking about awarding, and we do have a number of projects that are going on simultaneously.
Right.
Some of which are fully funded, some of which we need to come up with additional funds. So that, can you please come up with the tie-in so that we can see what the question is?
Well, the question is if we had 16% of the 19, you're roughly $4 million we might be asked to come up with on the Back Bay, maybe more if others chose not to participate, which I think that's a choosing.
No, they can't choose not to. They're bound by a written agreement, and the TMDL is federal law.
And it's $3.2 million, our share.
It would be paid over 2 years as well, Councilman, because it's even this first phase that we can do with the $19 million is a 400-day working day project. The next phase is also 400 working days.
Well, I guess I'm concerned that even at this point, we're talking at over $7 million that we're putting into the Back Bay between this and that. And I think we need the money in the Front Bay. That's where I think we need the money.
Okay.
And I'd like to see it go there.
Thank you. Is there any other council member that has a comment on this at the present time?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Ridgway?
Yeah, as the chairman of the Coastal Bay Water Quality Committee, this is something that they've been overseeing for years, I think about 6, since we started the seed money. I know actually each one would have come here in support of it. I just want to make that comment that, and certainly Dr. Skinner and Nancy are here, and I know they're very supportive of it. And as chairman of my committee, I'm extremely supportive of this project.
Did I hear a motion?
Yes, I will make that motion to award the contract.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion by the council before I open this up to public hearing? All right. The public comments are open. We have a motion for approval on the table at the present time.
Good evening, Mayor Webb and members of the council. My name is Jack Skinner, and my background is internal medicine, and Nancy and I have been involved with water quality now for almost 22 years, especially relating to the Back Bay and the Lower Bay. I'd like to request your support for this effort to fund the Back Bay Center for several reasons. I've had the pleasure of working with the professional laboratory staff at the Orange County Health Department Laboratory, and they are extremely competent in water quality issues and are currently able to perform the cutting-edge research that is needed to solve our coastal water issues. Currently, I might mention one of their projects so that you understand the relationship between the city of Newport Beach and the work that they're doing there at their lab. In the past, water quality tests would be taken at the beach and taken to the lab for testing, and it would require 24 to 48 hours to get the answer to whether there was contamination of a beach and that beach needed closing. However, currently, the laboratory is focusing on a project to look at the rapid bacterial indicator tests that give an interpretation of water quality within 4 hours. Now, that's going to change everything on how we deal with pollution problems at the beach if this can be completed and found to be successful, because then you have the answers virtually the same day that you take the test and can close the beach if it's appropriate. There is some exciting work that relates to Newport Bay, and that is there are several drains in Newport Bay that have continually had high levels of enterococci and E. coli that are the bacteria that are used by the health department to suspect that there might be human contamination, fecal contamination of the beaches. It has been a very hot topic in the bacteriology in the medical field or microbiology, that a lot of these bacteria now that were thought only to come from human or animal fecal waste are actually bacteria that have been able to grow in storm drains, especially like those in Newport Beach, even before humans were on this earth, and they were able to do it in biofilms. Biofilms that were protective ways that these bacteria could multiply. And there are limited tests that are being done so far to see if it's feasible to study this by the health department, and I'm hoping that they will follow through with it, because I think that this is going to perhaps provide an explanation of why there is no evidence that can be found by the health department of fecal input into the Newport drains, into Newport Bay, and yet these bacteria are being found. And coincidentally, they are finding some of these biofilms present and are studying them to see if they're the source of the pollution that would go a long way in understanding what's causing this contamination in the absence of human or animal waste. So Friday, I had a chance to talk with Dr. Doug Moore, who is the head of the laboratory, director of the laboratory, and he stated that he and his staff are committed to working with the city of Newport Beach on water quality issues. This is extremely important because Newport Beach needs all the help it can get as far as scientific research and support to solve some of the coastal water quality problems. So in conclusion, the Back Bay Science Center, I believe, deserves our support at this time, and thank you for listening to my comments.
So you want us to award the contract?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Please vote yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to sum that up, make sure I didn't get lost there somewhere.
Yeah, I got a little vague.
Is there anybody else that'd like to comment?
Mr. Mayor and City Council members, I'm Jack Keating, and I've been a member of the Upper Newport Bay Naturalists and Friends for about 15 years, and I've been a resident of Newport Beach since 1964. The answer, by the way, to what I'm going to talk about is yes, and so I'm really happy to be here. First of all, as you know, the Newport Bay Naturalists and Friends have been a long-term member working with the city, the Department of Fish and Game, the Healthcare Agency, and UCI, and promoting education, restoration programs here at the Bay. We do have about 150 volunteers. Some of them are here tonight. All of those with the Newport Bay Naturalists and Friends, raise your hands.
It's great to see such an active group.
So it's really an exciting group of people. I tell you, it's been a lot of fun. By the way, I do have our Tracks magazine that I would like to pass out to the. I'm going to save a stamp on this, I think, by doing this. And as I say, we're really excited about this. We've been involved in this project for 6 years. I remember Earth Day of 2001. We were all down at Shellmaker Island, and the Department of Fish and Game, Larry Yang's predecessor, Chuck Raysbrook, was there, and Dave Kiff, and I think many of the crowd was there in 2001, and we were really excited. There was a big article in the Register about kicking off the Back Bay Science Center. Actually, it's changed names a few times over the years, but it's still the Back Bay Science Center. So there's been a long-term involvement with this, and I must say that the process that Fish and Game and the city and all of the other agencies involved have gone through has been very public-oriented. The public has at all opportunities had a chance to comment on the nature of the program, and although we've had several ups and downs over the last 6 or 7 years, I'm pretty sure that at this point that all of the agencies involved really have gotten just about what they want. So I think it's really a good example of a good democratic process. I'm excited about the Water Quality Laboratory, not only for the reasons that Jack Skinner mentioned, but also because since we're involved in education, we really look forward to the Water Quality Laboratory personnel of taking an active part in our restoration program at the Bay. There'd be nothing better than having school kids be able to come to the Back Bay Science Center and really see the scientists in action, and have a few of them take a few minutes out to talk about what they're doing to really educate people in science. I think to me, the highlight of the Back Bay Science Center is the need for science-based education. And as a result of that, having a research capability there at the Back Bay Science Center centered on water quality issues, and also adding to it other scientific endeavors associated with environmental studies. I think it would be a great adjunct, and I think that's something we badly need at the Upper Newport Bay, is to make sure that the public is well tuned in to the science that's leading our discoveries, and pointing out to the people just why we're protecting the Bay as we do. As a matter of fact, we kind of look at the Bay as a wildlife refuge in many ways, with appropriate or compatible public access. So what we're really trying to do is protect the wildlife that's there, at the same time be able to bring the public in very compatible ways to be able to understand it and see what's going on down there. So again, I don't have to say again, I would appreciate your yes vote to cause this project to proceed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think that most of the council members up here all would support everything you have to say on that.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, my name is David Suleilas. I'm Chief of Public Health Operations for the Orange County Healthcare Agency, and I too would like to urge your support tonight for the motion that is before you. As you're aware from Dave's staff report, the county has, through the Board of Supervisors, allocated $1.23 million to contribute to the construction of the facility at the Back Bay Science Center. We have a great team of laboratory staff under the leadership of Dr. Moore, our Public Health Lab Director, and under the supervision of Donna Ferguson, who's joined me here tonight, who's our supervising microbiologist at the Water Quality Lab. The staff there do quite a bit of work. In 2005, we conducted over 52,000 water quality tests. These included weekly recreational water samples from Orange County ocean and bay beaches, as well as weekly samples from 51 sites located in Newport Bay tributaries, Newport Coast, and Newport Coast creeks. And as you've heard from others tonight, we are very active and aggressive in research efforts to improve our technologies and our abilities to do rapid testing for water quality, as well as in our educational and outreach efforts, and really look forward to a new permanent home at the Back Bay Science Center where we can spread out from our temporary quarters and really be able to continue our good partnerships we have with the city and with our other partners involved in this. So again, I'd urge your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Then, okay.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, my name is Larry Yang. I'm the regional manager for the Department of Fish and Game. And the sole purpose I'm here today is to encourage your support for this this project. Mr. Kiff and the other speakers have pretty well covered all of the things I would like to have brought to your attention. But we have been working with the city for a number of years. My staff and my predecessor have been intimately involved. I've only been here for about the last 6 months, so I'm just sort of getting my feet wet. But once again, I would like to encourage you to vote in the affirmative for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. My name is Nancy Skinner, and as you know, we both speak on things. I'm sorry about that. But I must both say I just came up here to say please support it. It's an exciting concept. It's something that is needed for our city, and having been involved in water quality for over 20 years, it's just, I can't tell you how excited we are about it, so I certainly hope you will support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing no one else, I'll bring it back to the council. Is there any other items
Mr.
that
Mayor?
you'd like to discuss?
If I could, first of all, I'd just like to thank the community leaders who came out to speak for this project. As I have looked into it, I think this is precisely the kind of investment that we should be making in our community to enhance the long-term environmental quality and the enjoyment of the bay by all of the residents. I think this is going to be a facility that we're going to be very proud of in the city.
An indirect benefit to this project is, of course, when the tide pools are built, then we won't have as many students having incursions into the tide pools at Corona Del Mar, and that really is a component of this that has not been spoken to tonight.
Councilmember Daigle?
Yes, I think it was well said by Dave Kiff that it's a culmination of a lot of hard work. So I wanted to thank all of the partners, and perhaps this can be a prototype for future collaboration.
Thank you. Anybody else? Then let's vote.
With Councilmember Nichols abstaining, the motion carries.
This is a great time, and I think that we're all going to enjoy this facility and taking, in my particular instance, my grandchildren by to see it and learn. Okay. We have a item added to the agenda as item number 17, which is the Balboa Village Phase 2 contract award. Does the staff have a?
Phase 3.
Phase 3. This is Mr. Ridgway's project that he has a different phase for each year of his tenure.
It seems like it. I thought this was on the consent agenda. I would make a comment. I think the report is self-explanatory. This is the final phase of what has been a multi-phase project. I'm happy to say that, and it's taken 7 years, but we are finally seeing investments being made in the Balboa Village area. As you know, the pavilion has been taken over by Leo Gugasian. He is currently, he is going to take a couple of parcels central to the area. Hopefully, we'll be closing next week, and we'll be looking at a major parking structure there. The Newport, the Balboa Inn has made a substantial investment down there, and as you all know, as of late last year, the Newport Nautical Museum is making a substantial investment down there. So, and these improvements that are in this Phase 3 are directly adjacent to all of these improvements, or all these projects that are currently going to be taking place here. Hopefully, well, the Balboa Inn is finishing up, but the remainder of them will be commencing and moving forward here very shortly.
Did I hear a motion?
Yeah, I will make a motion for approval of this.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just clarify for the record, in the section of the staff report that discusses the environmental review, there wasn't a discussion about the environmental document, so to speak, that would be applicable to this project. And just for the council and also for the record, we reviewed this and determined that it's categorically exempt, and so we'll be filing a notice of exemption to cover that portion so that this project can continue with environmental protection.
I think Mr. Ridgway's motion understands that, right?
Yeah.
There's no action to be made with regards to the environmental action, because when it's exempt, you don't need to take a specific action on it.
Was there a second to that motion? Okay. Motion and second. Anybody in the public like to comment? You're the only public left. I close public hearing. Please vote.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Going to say 15 minutes.
Mr. Mayor?
Just a second. Mr. Ridgway?
I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring this up, but I forgot it earlier, and I want to at least bring it up tonight. I would like us to maybe agendize at the next meeting, and it could take no more than 5 minutes, or even do it now. We have a sergeant of arms here. We never had one until a couple of new council members were here, and they're not here. I don't see the reason for the city to continue to spend money for a sergeant at arms, quite candidly. And I would ask that we either agendize that, or we do something to review whether we want to continue with that policy.
Well, I think staff can make that determination if council gives us just a little indication of what their feeling is.
Well, my feeling is we don't need it. My feeling was then we didn't need it, but that's me.
This really isn't an item that we can discuss in great detail.
Maybe staff can review it and...
I think what we could do is I'll go ahead and look at the council policy and see if there's a specific policy on it. As I recall, I think it was just a request to have somebody here. I don't think there was a council action to have someone here. And if there's some direction, I would think if it's as easy as direction from the mayor or a council member that we don't need to have them, unless the council would like it brought back for an action item to make a determination.
Personally, I like Glenn being here.
Glenn would like to be home with the kids and the family. It's a question of need and effective use of our funds.
We're
And
getting into a lot more detail.
okay,
Yeah.
well, so what do we do?
What we'll do is we'll go ahead and look back at the policies, try and figure out how the decision was made, and then if a decision needs to be made, or if we think the council wants to weigh in on it, we'll bring it back for an agendized item.
I can tell you how the decision was made.
Okay, City Clerk?
Motion for reconsideration. A motion to reconsider the vote on any action taken by the city council at either this meeting or the previous meeting may be made only by one of the council members who voted with the prevailing side.